Hello guys, and welcome to a new Solidifying 2 video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you a 10 versus 10 on Ostrowno, and in this one I'm going to be playing the new Panzerdivision Tatra with the balanced deployment type. This was a division that was introduced in the latest DLC, Lucky 13, which was a free DLC, so if you have still Division 2 and maybe haven't played in a little while, make sure to load it back up again and give these a go, because yeah, it's awesome. It's free content. Can't complain at all. So, Panzerdivision Tatra, really interesting division. It comes with a lot of different stuff, and it's quite a well-rounded division. I feel like there's not really many weaknesses, except potentially the amount of AA that you can bring. And the AA is, just low in availability, basically. But you have some really awesome units, like the Volkssturm, which are incredibly strong, disheartened units. I wouldn't be surprised if they got nerfed in the future, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. And yeah, they've also got rocket artillery in Phase A, which is really, really good. They get the Stug 3E, which is probably one of my favourite vehicles in the game. I don't know. I think the reason I like the Stug 3E so much is because I call it the Stuggy. That's like literally it, right? It's just the Stuggy, right? It's a cute little tank that blows shit up. It's great. Anyway, we're off. I forgot this set to my perspective. Apologize if my voice cracks or whatever throughout this game. It's still very temperamental, unfortunately. My throat's still pretty bad, so do bear with me. But either way, off we go. Volkssturm leading the charge here with some Spätrupp, Pionierführer and Feldjäger. So I've got both a leader and the police unit as well, because leaders don't stop disheartened units from falling back. You need a specific police unit to do that. Ju-87 does come in, gets intercepted by two Hellcats here. Sturmsor's just trying to get some cheeky early cluster strikes in here, but with all the 50 cows coming in on this side, it actually pins down the Ju-87s pretty well. And now we have an ongoing dogfight between Hellcats and BF-109 G6s, whilst the Ju-87 makes an escape. So one of the Hellcats going to leave there, probably unnecessary, as it could have teamed up on these BF-109 G6s, but one of them is going to be trying to fall back, so it's going to probably get out of there, unless the Hellcat stops it, which it might. I didn't manage to get on its tail. These Hellcats are new. Well, they're not really new. I think they were already in the game, but Task Force Butler has them, so we're seeing them a lot more. And their agility isn't that great. They kind of struggle to get on the back of like better fighters, especially like this BF-109 G6 here that has like the 2-star veterancy in this case, so that gives it extra agility as well. So Hellcat there, going to come under attack from my DO. I'm going to be trying to shoot it down directly. Instead I change because I see the IL-2 coming in. I'm hoping to just get a head on with the IL-2 and shoot that down instead, because these DOs, they do have 4 20 mils. 2 SDK-Z72s have come in. They're going to be engaging this Hellcat. My DO's trying to get on the back of the IL-2. Unfortunately, the Hellcat gets there first and shoots me down. That Hellcat does go down to the enemy AA though. Meanwhile, my troops are engaging these rifles late in the cover. Volkssturm are going to come up to engage the rifles at close range. This rifle is getting pinned quite fast by the Volkssturm. But what's pinning them even faster is the Stug E's. Their HE rounds are actually causing suppression across both of those units. I managed to surrender one, charge the Volkssturm forwards, and get the second. So these lads managing to get a couple surrenders there for us, which is great. And the Volkssturms are really cool because they do come with 8 Panzerfaust, so there's loads of AT ammunition to make use of. And they've also got like the 11 rifles, which is really, really strong at medium range. It's against other units, like for example the basics here. Although the basics in this case, they do have M1 Garands, so they actually have a decent amount of DPS. M5A1 also going to be engaging me there. So my Volkssturm's going to have to fall back. The basics actually doing pretty well. I'm having shots come in from the right hand side here. This is an M10 with its AP rounds. And, well, there we go. APCR does the job, kills off my Stug 3G. Now it's up to my Stug 3Es to keep the push going on that side. Because the M10, once it's used up those APCR, can't engage like past 1,750 meters anymore. So that's what I was kind of counting on there, that my Stug 3s would be able to move forwards. I can also use this heavy cover here on the left-hand side. So here's a Panzer 38T that's moving forwards. The Panzer 38Ts are really, really good. They are very cost-efficient fire support against enemy infantry, and they also do well against medium tanks. So you can see I have dealt with the M5A1 Stuart there, and now the Stug 3E going to be pounding shots into the basics. I've got them at the 2-star veterancy base in my deck, so they're able to get really decent rate of fire. Also, I think my Stug 3E here managed to get a shot across into the M15 GMC here, which shot that down, or I say shot it down, blew it up, which means that they no longer have that to support. Which is good, it means that more aircraft can come in, especially since Sturmsource did invest so much into that early on. Got my Spear Troop on the left hand side, going to be spotting these scouts. The Feldier are going to be helping take them out with their G43. And the Volkssturm, of course, engaging with their rifles. This Stug 3E, now engaging at close range. Got to be really careful with this bazooka, of course. That could kind of like jump out here and kill my Stug. I was hoping that my Volkssturm would kill them, because I kind of gave them the order to do so. But alas, they failed in their mission. So Sturm Pioneers going to smoke off that unit that was shooting them. Going to try and get into that building, get some flames down onto this area. Unfortunately, transmission destroyed there, which means the Stug 3E is a complete sitting duck. 2 M4A1s come across, and this is really bad news for me because the Panzer 38 and the Stug 3E aren't the most reliable for taking these out unless they can get side shots. So I get one shot in there from the Panzer 38, get the side shot in. Thankfully, he's still focusing down these Volkssturm. Going to get my Pak 37 to take the second shot. And the reason that I use the Pak 37 instead of the Panzer 38 is because the Panzer 38 was revealed. So I had to wait for that to have its stealth back before I could engage a second time. And because it was behind cover, the M4A1 faced towards what it was firing at, which allowed the Pak 37 to get the shot in, because the Pak 37 still maintained its stealth because it hadn't fired yet. Either way, Sturmsource now coming in with the cluster to save me from this M4A1, which was really handy, since again, I didn't really have the most reliable way of killing it. Stug 3E with its heat round, it doesn't quite have the penetration it needs, and neither does the standard AP round. So yeah, that would have been a tough kill to get, but either way, clusters come in, Sturmsource sends some Turans, and we're going to make the push. Volkssturm trying to get into the town here as well to make sure that I clean out any other threats that may be in our way. You can see that the bazooka here is still there, to make sure that I kill that off, and just to pin down the bazooka and the basics, and yeah, they were surrendered. The reason the bazooka's pinned down there, I think, is because of the cluster. It wasn't because it was like still pinned from earlier. But AA is pretty strong right now. We got Sturmsource bringing in a 40mm. There's the 20mm and 2 SDKF Z72s, which are 37mm, engaging these marauders. So although these bombs come down, do a little bit of damage, I was able to kind of just take it on the chin and carry on. My Stug 3E is under fire from the M5A1, but I don't really care too much. This doesn't have much penetration at that range, so I'm able to just focus on these 107mm mortars, which are much more valuable kills. Unfortunately, the basics does take out my transport here, which had... I can't quite remember actually what unit was in there, but I think it was like a more expensive infantry unit before it unloaded, so that was unfortunate. But the Stug 3E just absolutely one-bangs the M5A1 with its heat round. Those heat rounds are very powerful. They do have 8 damage. So yeah, very strong, but we're kind of breaking the camel's back on this side. Moving up and taking ground slowly but surely. Hellcat is going to go down there to the BF-109 G6. My team did a great job of providing aircraft in this fight over the skies. on this left-hand side. Now Panzergrenadier with Panzerfaust going to be coming in. These ones I have in half tracks. They're coming in the SDK Z251-1, and they're going to try and advance and unload to take the next set of buildings on this left-hand side. And you're probably wondering, why are you continuing to push up here? Since there's no extra flags. Well, one, we have the momentum, so it's good to take as much ground as possible so that the enemy has to push back further in order to capture back this flag. Second of all, if we can get far enough, we can obviously cap the spawn. This is very, very difficult to do in 10v10 because there's 10 other players that could supplement units over here if needs be. So it's not always the best thing to go for. But ultimately, there's still more damage I can do, especially with these 107mm mortars back here. So getting up onto this sort of area and cleaning this out would be good in my efforts to defend this flag that I've now taken. Now, unfortunately here, my Stug got caught in a bit of a predicament. The M10 that was firing across from the river, or from the lake, it was basically causing my Stug to not know which way to face because there was two M5A1s here that were shooting it as well. So it kind of got stuck facing like diagonally, and where it basically meant that both sides could, well, both sets of units could side shot it, so it did die. But the Stug 3E cleaned house, got rid of the M5A1, and now I'm able to continue the push towards the 107 that's behind that town. And that's basically what I'm trying to clean out. Just get a lot of presence on this left-hand side, force the enemy to keep coming into me, and then they can't help elsewhere on the map. Because when it got to, if it gets to like this point, quite often it'd be worth, like from their point of view, to say, oh, this is doomed. So I'm going to leave like a couple units here, and then I'm going to help elsewhere. Because at the end of the day, they're only losing one flag with this push. But if I continue to push hard, then they're forced to bring in more units here. And that's one way to kind of like solidify an advantage that you've already made on the map. But yeah, ultimately I wanted to get rid of these 107s. So you can see the Stug 3 again, getting shots onto the 107mm mortars. And the rate of fire on those Stug 3Es is so great, it really, really is. Panzergren's unfortunately getting hit again by the M10 on its side. This M10 did a lot of work that I probably could have avoided if I just kind of like smoked off the side. Although that's actually one thing that is a weakness of the Panzerdivision Tatra. If you choose to bring in like the rockets in the early game, you actually lack smoke because you're probably not going to have the sort of points in your deck to bring in mortars and rocket artillery early on. It's kind of a you can obviously bring smoke if you want to, but I don't think it's really worth it in a lot of cases because smoke doesn't really benefit many units in your deck because most of the time you're going to be fighting at sort of like a mid-range with your armor and also like the Volkssturm in specifically. Yes, they're okay at close range because they can use their rifles and MP28s, but ultimately they're better at like sort of the 500 to 300 meter range because otherwise you have the risk or run the risk of bumping into close range infantry and then you lose your advantage. So if you were to use smoke and then get close to the enemy and then they have close range infantry, you lose because you don't really have much in the way of close range infantry in choice. You can bring reasonable amounts of them, but it will be in later phases. So technically you could bring in Sturm Pioneers and Pioneers in A and then use smoke and push hard through the smoke. But yeah, it's just not really practical. Either way, I brought in a Pak 43 Krupp. This is one of the big toys that Panzerdivision Tatra gets access to, and placed it in this heavy cover, and it was a really, really good spot because it manages to deal with this M4 and it takes out the supply there, and it has basically line of sight up this road, so it's going to prevent reinforcements coming to this flag, which means eventually I'm going to be able to push up here and capture this flag, because if we can cut off enough reinforcements and again kill anything in between, then yeah, that gives us that flag as well, and we get a nice solid advantage on the map. But meanwhile, bringing in more AT guns to this left hand side, Panzer 38T also moving up. 2 more M4s in our way, and you can see Gron's reinforced Colonel Torres here on the left hand side. Panzerwerfer's nearly ready to go, looking for the kill onto the 107 just to get that off the field, since I was struggling to get close enough. And now I've got another one of these DO-17s coming in. Going for the 20mm run onto the sniper. Do manage to take out the sniper. Also was hoping to pin down the 50 cal, but didn't quite get around to it. 107 did go down to the Panzerwerfer, and now my DO is just trying to get out of there, but with 3 fighters on it. It's kind of unlikely. Also, quite a lot of AA on this right-hand side that is going to stop that from being the case. I've now brought up a flak filling here as well. I have 2 of these in phase A in my deck, and they're pretty much the only AA I have, so kind of have to rely on fighters as well in phase A if there is a lot of enemy aircraft. But with the help of the 40mm and the 37mm here, we're doing a lot of damage to any aircraft that come over onto this side of the map now. I've moved up another Spätrupp. I think my last one that was on the left hand side here got killed off. Oh no, never mind, I moved it into this building and put it on return fire. But yeah, this one has come over to the right hand side to help spot for this Pak 43. In terms of like units moving into the back gardens here or coming down that road, pretty much. So Panzer 3L now coming in. Panzer 3Ls can actually be pretty scary for these M4A1s because they do have APCR shells, so they've got really decent penetration. But the trouble with the APCR shell on the Panzer 3L is it only has 3 damage, so you actually need to hit an M4A1 I think 3 or 4 times in order to kill it. But I got my Pak 37 here getting shots off, and I'm going to be able to get an APCR shot towards that M4A1, but it kind of missed. It shouldn't have missed because it's a 2-star Panzer 3L and the base veterans, or the base accuracy of APCR shells is 65%. But yeah, I'm kind of unlucky. So there we go. Panzer 3L does get taken down. I don't think that was because of the M4A1. I think there's an AT gun further back here that did that. But yeah, these Pak 37s actually pretty decent at engaging medium armor like this, and you can see that I've used the 47mm to take out both of those M4A1s at closer ranges, which is really, really nice. So these AT guns are paying themselves off very well at 35 points. There we go, there's Pak 40 there. I'm engaging with its HE. Meanwhile, just trying to clean up the 50 cal with the half track and the Panzer 38 there. The Panzerwerfer again, aiming away. This time just going to be looking to pin down the forces in that town so I can take that next town. There was a bit of a sort of resistance. I didn't really anticipate on this left side. I was hoping to probably get this town a little bit sooner, considering how well we were doing. But basically what's happened is because we're so close to the spawn here, it means that they can reinforce obviously faster than we can get troops up to attack. And yeah, that's the problem that we're dealing with right now. Panzer 38T going to be forcing back the basics. I did lose my half track there on the corner. I've now got the Jagdpanzer on the way. So Panzerdivision Tatra does get access to these Jagdpanzers, and Jagdpanzers did in fact get buffed lately. They have the 145 mils of penetration now, as opposed to the 135 mils, which makes them a lot more efficient at taking out medium armor, and also things like T-34 85s. So unfortunately, we do have a few drops there. You can see that Colonel Torres, I think, either quit or dropped from the game. So that's going to give me the opportunity to push up on this left side quite significantly. But of course, I still need to deal with the players that are supporting what is now the AI. But ultimately, while all of this has been going on, I've also been trying to push up my Volkssturm onto this flag, since Sturmsource has managed to secure this tree line. Now we're looking to grab this flag as well, since the game's been relatively even, 16 to 16 if we look across the map. It's all pretty 50-50. These flags going backwards and forwards all the time as off-map comes down and so on and so forth. So yeah, I'm just trying to like basically solidify our advantage here and now push for a second flag on this left side so we can maintain a 17-15 and win the game. So Pak 43 still firing away. This time it has eyes onto a mortar, the 81mm mortar back there. Also got the Verflammen, that's now coming in. The Verflammen, really good, has the 6 280mm rockets that it can fire at once, and it comes with 2 reloads, so I guess 1 reload, because it comes loaded plus 1 reload. So you get 12 rockets and you fire 6 at a time. Obviously a very ripe target here. The AI clumping up both the M5 gun and the M3 howitzer, so going to be looking to kill those at some point. Now also got a half track coming up. Now since in the early game Panzerdivision Tatra relies on Volkssturm, the veterancy I don't believe is as important, at least the level of veterancy isn't important. You still want to use leaders of course, but the veterancy on my early game tanks is already 2-star veterancy, so my Pioneer Fjölders can already make them 3-star. Same with like the Stoke 3E for example, can also be 3-star. And my infantry is disheartened, so it doesn't really make too much of a difference if I upvet them. I mean, technically the Volkssturm will get better if they get upvetted, but like it's not a priority because they're so cheap and expendable. But so I've brought that in kind of like later on, and now I'm kind of wanting to, you know, get the most out of my Phase B units and Phase C units, since we have just moved into Phase C. So yeah, brought in the commander. That's going to make this Pak 43 2-star veterancy, give it lots of rate of fire, so it can take out things like that 81mm mortar before it falls back. Sturmsource did end up actually dropping from the game on our team, so his AI is currently like YOLOing troops forwards, and Nordic is following it through here. So these motorcycles revealing the AI in the trees here. Going to be able to surrender that unit and basically capture this flag. 280mm rocket's going to come down and smack these support weapons, and boom, just like that, takes them both out. Exactly what we like to see. The last rocket was actually really good as well, because it's going to have pinned down or helped at least suppress partially any units that were in the backside of that tree line. We've got a few more units now coming up to solidify the second flag, but we've lost another flag elsewhere, so still 16-16, but we're doing well on this left hand side, and I'm just in the process of really securing it. Got the Panzerwerfer 150 now coming down onto this town once again, and with that pinned I will be making a push with the Volkssturm. I've got extra Volkssturm on the way, as you can see, 4 more units heading up this way. And the Volkssturm are pretty crazy. Like, I already mentioned it already, how they're very strong, but the sheer availability is like really good as well. I have 18 Volkssturm, and I remember commenting during this game that I was surprised that I still had them left by the time it got around to Phase C. Like, I'm still bringing in Volkssturm when I only have 1 card of them. Like, they're that good. I'm going to be able to obviously kill off that Pak 40 at close range here. My Volkssturm looking for the kill onto the M10 here that was close by, so Panzerfaust's going to be taking care of that. And these Volkssturm, super big threat, because I mean, killing this Pak 40, 60 points, Volkssturm 15 points. Killing a M10 I believe is 75 points, Volkssturm 15 points. So you can see like the value that you can get out of them. It's just like the same as like a Panzerschreck squad, for example, right? The reason that they're so good is because they're cheap, and anything that they kill is easily double what they're worth. So yeah, Volkssturm, very good indeed. I mean, even just killing a rifle late squad is double the price of a Volkssturm. So yeah, it's good stuff. Pak 43 getting shots onto the Rhino here that's been brought in by the AI. It's going to get taken out nice and easy. Pak 43 just popping that. We have managed to take back some flags across this map, so back to 17 to 15 on our team, but still things are pretty close across the map. Of course, I'm kind of running away with the left side, but this isn't actually that important, you know. There's no more flags for me to capture up here. I was just trying to solidify this position as much as I could, whilst also kind of helping to push on this side as well. So my 2 Volkssturm coming up here, supported by the Panzer IVs and the Jagdpanzer further back. We'll be able to unload these and push off the rifles late that are behind that flag. So you see on my orders, just starting to shift pretty much everything up, except from the Pak 43 here. And then we got the Werfraum and the Panzerwerfer constantly being reloaded by these Opel Blitz. I think I only have like 1 in so far, but yeah, I was making sure that these were reloaded so I could use them to hit any units over on the right hand side now. So Nordic now coming up with his Panzer IVs to push more aggressively. This Pak 43 still firing away, almost used up all of its HE. These guns are really, really good, but I feel like I was lucky not to have it mortared or bombed sooner. I mean, bombed maybe not, because obviously I've got lots of AA here supporting me, especially with my, you know, commander now giving veterancy to these 2 SDKF Z72s. This AA is actually very, very lethal. But even just like having the mortars kill this would have been really, really good for them, because it's killed so much stuff now. It just keeps getting more and more kills. I'm not sure if it got as many kills as the Stug 3E though. The good old Stuggies. They're pretty baller. So yeah, everything moving up. Taking positions in this town since I just managed to unload up there. Got my Panzerwerfer engaging towards the M15 CGMC. We are going to take some off-map to the face, but the Range Marauder is going to get taken out there. I was hoping to land a rocket onto the M15 directly, because a direct hit would kill it, probably. So, yeah, that's what I was looking for. Panzer IV is still pushing forwards. I'm not sure if Nordic Axe was disconnected, but he's definitely very aggressive. That's for sure. These Panzer IVs pushing so damn hard. And of course, like, Stem Source is an AI at this point, so his Nimrod here pretty much just suicide charging towards any infantry it can find. Now at some point I do bring in some troops on this right hand side to help support this push back towards these flags, because ultimately, like, we want to win the game, and it being even, considering I had such a large advantage on this left hand side, was pretty bad. But like I was talking about earlier, when it comes to a team game like this, like a 10v10, nobody's contesting me here anymore. So all of the resources are going elsewhere, right? The AI is no longer contesting this side of the map. It's actually helping somewhere else on the map, which means that I'm also either going to choose to push elsewhere or like help elsewhere myself, or I can go for the spawn. I'm going to just use the Werfraum here to try and kill the M15 now instead. Managed to get a reinforcing unit there, a rocket. One of the rockets goes straight into the M15 and kills it off. So yeah, good kill. Get rid of the AA. Allows us to have a bit more diversity in terms of what I can bring in to support myself, because I do have some JU-87D3s and the HE-111s so that I can bring in. I think the HE-111 has like 4 or 8 250kg bombs, so that's quite nice to sort of like clean out things like that Pak 40 and this infantry. And then JU-87 is of course really good for just bombing individual units. In this case, I'm going to get the Panzerwerfer to go for the Pak 40 instead. But yeah, Panzerwerfer and Werfraum, I use these pretty much, well, the Panzerwerfer definitely from the start of the game. I brought up the Werfraum later, but both of these units so damn useful, and you can see I've got a new Oberblitz now to resupply those. I'm also bringing up a 88. This 88, the idea was to get it into the back gardens here so it could shoot the roads here and stop the reinforcements coming in from the edge of the map. But currently just like unloading it on this left side. Gonna shift it as much as I can to the edge of the boundary of the garden, because you can see these gardens do give you light cover. So I'm able to just shift it up, get it into a position where it can shoot this road and this road. Hellcat under fire, 88 trying to do the job. You get a nice hit there. 2-star 88s can actually be pretty lethal against fighters, because when they hit on target they do a lot of damage, so you can potentially shoot down in one shot certain fighters, especially if they're coming towards you and they have like bad resilience. There we go. 88 firing at the T-34 at 76 as it moves up the hill. Fortunately the second shot didn't hit. Got pretty unlucky there, but the Pak-37 I believe managed to get a good shot in and bailed out the T-34 on the hill. So now I've brought in some units on the right hand side. You can see I'm bringing 3 of these Panzerdivision MG26s. The Panzerdivision MG26s are different to the standard Panzerdivisions in that they use the MG26. And the MG26 can be fired at close range, within 100 meters. So it's pretty nice for engagements where you're in heavy cover. In this case, I think I just brought them in here because they're like one of the cheapest units that I have at 25 points. So able to just spread them out, take this light cover, and then that would put pressure onto this flag in the open, which is quite easy for our side to cover off. So yeah, I just thought I would secure that for the team. Anyway, Panzerwerfer fires away, looking for the Pak-40 there, as I pointed out earlier. Tiger E has been brought in. That's going to be pushing to the top of the map. And the Tiger E is an interesting one because it's a good tank, but it gets kind of outclassed in the late game because it's got such low rate of fire. It's unfortunate in the replays we can't see the benefits of veterancy, but the 5 round per minute rate of fire is boosted to I think 7 with 2-star veterancy, and yeah, it's really not that good, if I'm completely honest. So yeah, Tigers aren't good, but they're cool and I like them. So I'm bringing one in basically as an 88 that can help me snipe this road like the Pak-43 Krupp is, and my 88. So both of these now, you know, being used to snipe. This one's slightly further back than like right on the edge here, because I'm gonna obviously use that as AA a little bit as well. Still managing to maintain the hold onto this flag as long as I've got infantry in this tree line. We should be fine. I've also got an 88 back here now that's covering the main road and also the air. And we got my Panzerdivisions now moving up onto this flag. So quite simply, I'm just trying to help secure the extra flags in between the players so that they don't have to invest their own forces to do it. They can continue on making their concentrated pushes elsewhere. Like on this right hand side, Obo here did a good job with Isaac pushing up. Vestige trying to push back with a bunch of T-34s, but getting them picked off. And yeah, I'm just kind of solidifying my position up here now. I'm kind of trying to push for this reinforcement point, just because really there's no obvious tactical advantage to me doing that, because they can just bring in troops here anyway. But yeah, I thought it would be fun to try and grab that spawn, which is why I'm kind of still pushing up units here and investing an odd unit here and there between bringing stuff in elsewhere. Bringing in a Tiger here to support the Flak 41 in covering that flag. I'm going to be bringing up some more units now to help push this light cover. So the Pak-37 moving in as well, just to deal with any light armor and enemy transports that get close here. We're currently 20 to 12 on the map, quite successful for our team so far. So yeah, you kind of seen like most of the initial units I don't think I actually got to use any of the SS Sturmgrenadiers in this match, but they are pretty strong. They come with the 8 MP44s and the 2 MG42s. I think the main reason I didn't use them is because in most cases I was either still bringing in Volkssturm or I was using Panzergrens. And like Panzergrens are kind of better because they come with the half track in my deck, so that's useful for, you know, the extra infantry support. Also in the late game, if I want to like continue pushing using the Panzergrens with MG26s like I've done here, plus supporting armor and support weapons, is kind of like a more efficient way to push than using like heavy infantry across the open. Like the SS Sturmgrenadiers would be great in a light cover situation. So technically here with the Volkssturm are, they would be really, really good. But either way, here comes some bow fighters. Managed to pin down one of them. The second one's coming under fire now from the 88 and the flag filling. But I'm going to be targeting this one down first to make sure that that gets shot down. Since it's very, very close to my flag filling. My flag filling's got extra accuracy, so might as well be firing at the thing flying right over it. But here come the support units for my Panzergrens. Got 2 Panzer IVs, a Stug 3G, and I'm also now bringing in an 88 behind those. Again, in order to push through and onto that hill to grab that flag. Yeah, the lightning there. Going to be coming under fire. Look at that shot. 88 blasted out the sky. Absolutely awesome. So Verflammen firing away. Going to be rocketing the far side of this tree line. See if we can pin down some stuff there. And bringing in a bunch of infantry on this side, and also I believe your boy Mike at this point was AI. So AI's decided to bring in a bunch of Everfire saboteurs on that side as well. T-34 85 going to be going down to my Stug 3s and Panzer IVs. And this often happens in 10v10s. I do like to kind of like support the other parts of the map. I mean, in this match it makes more sense than any other really, because I've kind of already moved up on my side and I'm not really doing anything other than defending really, so I'm able to use other units offensively elsewhere. And one thing I would say is a great tip for newer players in Steel Division 2 is be aggressive. Like, it might seem like to begin with you lose a lot of troops by doing that, but over time you'll learn to like preserve your units better. But as long as you continue to be aggressive, it forces your opponent to react to you, and therefore you gain the initiative. And that's what's going to enable you to grab flags from your opponents. So yeah, always be offensive in Steel Division. Being defensive is only going to lose you the game. Like in Steel Division, that saying, was it, attack is the best is the best defense, is actually quite appropriate. Now the STK Z72s here, I think moved up just a little bit too far. They got taken out by the M4A1. I'm going to move my Tiger here, of course, to try and kill that off, and then the bow fighter again going to get shot down. We managed to kill loads of units on this left hand side at the end. Tiger just continuing to fire away. We'll just watch that do its job. There we go. These guys getting mowed down in the open. The sniper firing away as well from the Feldjäger. The G43 getting involved. I managed to push over this ridge with the Tiger E at their back. The Panzer IVs having their 3-star veterancy. My Panzer IVH is in the late game, coming at 1-star vet. So with this commander giving the extra veterancy to the Tiger, well, it doesn't give extra veterancy to the Tiger, but it allows the Tiger to give extra veterancy to other units around it. Yeah, I'm managing to get the 3-star veterancy here. and that's really, really good because these get really decent rate of fire. I got a couple Panzerguns to back them up against infantry. A couple of support weapons here doing some damage, this 3, and the Pak 75 killing off my Panzergrens. I just had them on an attack move order, I believe. It's Tiger now moving forwards though. I moved it into machine gun range. Since the Tiger has 2-star veterancy, the MG34s are actually pretty good for killing stuff off. So I might as well be using them to help pin down infantry units. But we're now 23 to 9. See that the game has kind of broken open in the late. They were holding on for a very long time, the enemy team. But of course, once I can shift my weight further to the right, because I've got such an advantage on the left, it does help out a lot. And also, again, great job to these guys on the right hand side who managed to push up there very effectively as well. We kind of broke both of the far flanks and won that way. B-26 coming in with the bombing strike onto the Tiger. But the M10 kills that first, and well, there we go. 39 minutes, 34 seconds, major victory. So yeah, hopefully that gives you guys a little bit of a look at Panzerdivision Tatra. It's a very awesome division. I really, really like it. The fact that you get, you know, the Stugs, and then you also have like Jagdpanzers as well, plus like rocket artillery. You get a couple Tigers, you get like the strong AT, like the Pak 43s, you've got the decent amount of infantry, like the Volkssturm, really, really strong, disheartened infantry. And then you've also got, you know, your air support, which is a little bit weaker. Like the whole air side of things, like controlling the air, is kind of difficult to do in this division, especially in smaller team games or 1v1, I would say, because you have like a limited number of cards and availability. Also, like your fighters aren't that good. Like the BF-109 G2s are very, very lackluster. So you're kind of reliant on them for supplementing your AA, so that's not ideal. But yeah, you get like the decent Ju-87s and DO-217. I'm bringing that in at like 2-star veterancy. I find it very, very strong. And you can see I was trying to use it in that game, and it can kill units, especially infantry, very, very fast. But yeah, I kind of got caught out by the fighters in this one, and the lack of agility that those big old aircraft have. But either way, yeah, that's it. Unfortunately, didn't get to show like every single thing that Panzerdivision Tatra had to offer in this game, like the Jagdpanzer 38T and the SS Sturm Grenadiers. You can also get like Aufklärer in the 222s, which I think I have in my deck that I didn't bring out. So yeah, there you go. That is Panzerdivision Tatra, and a 10v10 game, which isn't something I show all that often. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.